Welcome back to The Opposers, the channel where we don't tell you what to think. We just show you how the moment is being framed. And today's moment? Before we begin, let's set the stage. The Opposers is about more than a birthday. It's about the architecture of a life, the rise, the reinvention, the legacy. It's about the people who shaped culture, challenged norms, and left fingerprints on the world. Today, we step into the story of a man who didn't just shape music. He shaped emotion, protest, sensuality, and the very soul of American sound. This is the story of Marvin Gaye.
I'm all healthy and feeling great and all full of liquids.
How was your stay in the hospital?
It was terrific. Look. They're so much fun and so great. I don't feel like staying a couple extra days.
Did you just need a little R&R?
Well, I just needed really liquids. I was totally dehydrated. I've suffered from that 3 times in my life, and I kind of hate water, you know, and I never replace as much as I lose, especially on concert tours. Here we go, off the tour again. Bye-bye, fellas. See you later.
The blueprint of a star. Marvin Pence Gaye Jr. was born on April 2, 1939, at Freedman's Hospital in Washington, D.C., to church minister Marvin Gaye Sr. and domestic worker Alberta Gaye née Cooper. His first home was in a public housing project, the Fairfax Apartments, now demolished, at 1617 First Street Southwest in the Southwest Waterfront neighborhood. Although it was one of the city's oldest neighborhoods, with many elegant federal-style homes, most buildings were small in disrepair and lacking electricity and running water. The alleys were full of 1- and 2-story shacks, and nearly every dwelling was overcrowded. Gaye and his friends nicknamed the area Simple City, calling it half city, half country. Gaye was the second of the couple's 4 children. He had 2 sisters, Jean and Zeola, and 1 brother, Frankie Gaye. He also had 2 half-brothers, Michael Cooper, his mother's son from a previous relationship, and Antoine Carey Gaye, born as a result of one of his father's extramarital affairs. Gaye was an American R&B and soul singer, songwriter, musician, and record producer. Commonly referred to as the Prince of Motown and Prince of Soul, he helped to shape the sound of Motown and soul music in the 1960s and 1970s. A cultural icon, Gaye is often considered one of the greatest singers and songwriters of all time. Born and raised in Washington, D.C., Gaye began his career being guided by Harvey Fuqua, who put him in his group, Harvey and the Moonglows, before Gaye ventured into a solo career at the beginning of the 1960s. Signing to Motown's Tamla subsidiary, he achieved stardom with a series of hit singles such as How Sweet It Is, To Be Loved by You, Ain't That Peculiar, and I Heard It Through the Grapevine, and also earned success as a collaborative duet partner with several female artists, most notably Diana Ross and Tammy Terrell, the latter of whom he recorded the hits Ain't No Mountain High Enough and You're All I Need to Get By. Following the successful release of his landmark album, What's Going On, and its hit of the same name, in 1971, Gaye became one of the first Motown artists to break away from the reins of a production company, later producing the albums Let's Get It On, I Want You and Here My Dear. After a period as a tax exile in Europe and leaving Motown for Columbia Records in 1982, Gaye re-emerged that year with Sexual Healing and its album Midnight Love, which became his most successful single and album respectively to date, and performed a memorable rendition of The Star-Spangled Banner at the 1983 NBA All-Star Game. The success of Sexual Healing led to Gaye winning an American Music Award and 2 Grammy Awards. In addition to 1960s soul music, Gaye also influenced 1970s soul music, and his recordings of that era later influenced the R&B subgenres Quiet Storm and neo-soul. Several of his hit singles and albums have made several best-of Rolling Stone lists, including its greatest albums and greatest songs of all time. In addition to the 2 Grammys and American Music Award, Gaye's accolades include the Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award, a Hollywood Walk of Fame star, and inductions into the NAACP Hall of Fame, National Rhythm and Blues Hall of Fame, Songwriters Hall of Fame, and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Gaye married twice. In June 1963, Gaye married Anna Gordy, sister of Berry Gordy. The couple's contentious marriage ended in 1977 after a 2-year divorce trial. That year, Gaye married Janice Hunter, daughter of Slim Gaillard, after a 4-year courtship. They separated in 1979 and officially divorced in 1982. Gaye was the father of 3, Marvin III, by adoption, Nona, and Frankie. Marvin III was the biological son of Anna's niece, Denise Gordy, who was 16 at the time of Marvin III's birth. Nona and Frankie were born to Gaye's second wife, Janice. Gaye was a cousin of Wu-Tang Clan member Masta Killa. In late 1983, Gaye convinced his bodyguard on his final concert tour, Andre White, to give his father, Marvin Gaye Sr., a .38 special handgun, due to the singer's continued fears of being targeted. In the months leading up to his death, Gaye and his father, Marvin Gaye Sr., struggled with keeping themselves separated from each other at the family house in the West Adams neighborhood of Western Heights in Los Angeles due to constant conflict. At the same time, Gaye was dealing with a crippling drug addiction and depression. On March 31, 1984, a verbal fight occurred between Gaye's parents at the property, leading Gaye to intervene and defend his mother. That night, no further conflict arose. In the early afternoon hours of April 1, 1984, Gaye once again intervened in another verbal fight between his parents. When his father refused to leave his room despite his orders, Gaye physically attacked his father, who shot Gaye twice, once in the chest, piercing his heart, and then into his shoulder. The shooting took place in Gaye's bedroom at 12:38 p.m. Gaye was pronounced dead at 1:01 p.m. after his body arrived at California Hospital Medical Center. He would have turned 45 the following day. On April 5, 1984, over 10,000 people attended Gaye's wake, followed by a funeral on April 8th, attended by his former Motown colleagues such as Smokey Robinson and Stevie Wonder, along with comedian and friend Dick Gregory. Wonder performed the ballad "Lighting Up the Candles," which he wrote for the occasion. The song was later placed as the final song on Wonder's 1991 soundtrack for the film Jungle Fever. After Gaye's funeral, his body was cremated at Forest Lawn Memorial Park, Hollywood Hills, and his ashes were scattered into the Pacific Ocean. Gaye Sr. was initially charged with first-degree murder, but the charges were reduced to voluntary manslaughter following a diagnosis of a brain tumor. He was given a suspended 6-year sentence and probation. He died at a nursing home in 1998. Thank you for watching and revisiting the life and legacy of Marvin Gaye. His legacy is more than a catalog of hits. It's a blueprint for honesty, courage, and artistic evolution. He showed the world that music could be tender and political, sensual and spiritual, personal and universal, all at once. His voice became a compass for a generation searching for meaning, justice, and connection. And decades later, his message still resonates, reminding us that the most powerful art doesn't just entertain, it transforms. Marvin Gaye didn't just shape American music history, he shaped the soul of America itself. If this episode moved you, make sure you like, share, and follow The Opposers. We'll be back with more stories that challenge memory, confront myth, and honor the lives behind the celebrity icons.